Well, it's my pleasure today to be joined by Anna Govett, who is a rising force in action against antimicrobial resistance based on her creation recently of a fascinating project for young people called the Future Leaders Against AMR. And I bumped into Anna and her work based on a request to give a talk to this group. And so I actually had a chance to spend an hour with the group recently and was just fascinated by what they were doing. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to talk about the person who made this happen, Anna Govett, in a brief fireside chat. So welcome, Anna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me and for supporting the program as well. Really appreciate it.
So my understanding is you've recently graduated from Cambridge with a degree broadly in political science, right? So tell me a little bit about that and how that got you into this project focused on AMR.
Yeah, of course. So I just graduated in summer 2021, so around 7 months ago, in human social political sciences. It's a needlessly long name. And I specialized in politics and international relations, so a bit more of the global approach. And I know that's a bit of a weird background to come at AMR from, but I really got involved in AMR through global health more broadly. So lots of people might be familiar with the International Federation of Medical Students Associations, again, a needlessly long name. But the branch of that in the UK is called Students for Global Health UK. And I was working with them a little bit during my undergraduate studies. And I noticed that AMR really wasn't spoken about as much as it should be. And so I decided to take on that task of getting AMR back into the mainstream global health conversation amongst students in the UK. So that's really what my background is.
Yeah, acronymics is an international sport, isn't it? We invent these long titles for things a lot of fun. Well, your comment that political science is an odd direction to come from. Actually, I think it's not. I think it's really important that we have people from these different stakeholders. You know, I'm a techie geek, and I make no apologies for that. One of my favorite collaborators was a lawyer who got into this for yet other reasons. So I think it's really cool to bring in these alternative voices. So, bully for you. So tell me about the Future Leaders Against AMR. How did you set it up? And who are these people? Where did you find them?
Yeah. So Future Leaders Against AMR, in short, is an international interdisciplinary program for young people who are interested in AMR. The really main aims of it are to get across the complexity of AMR to this group of young people and to really convince them to pursue career in the field. So really trying to support their professional development, really, that's the main aim. So we have a group of 40 who were chosen from 317 applicants from all around the world. We have young people.
317?
317.
Grief. Okay.
It's
All around the
so,
world. Keep going. Keep going. Fantastic.
honestly so encouraging to see just how many young people are interested in AMR. So it was really difficult to pick 40 out of those 317 people, but managed to choose a really lovely group, so talented and inspirational as well, very driven from honestly all corners of the globe. We have people from, I don't even know how many countries. In the application process, there were 57 countries represented, and it's probably around 20 now.
Wow. And the kinds of backgrounds these people have?
All sorts of backgrounds. For me, as somebody coming from kind of a non-biological science background, it was really important to make sure that we were recruiting a real range of people, so with different academic and different professional backgrounds. So we have lots of microbiologists and doctors and medics, etc. But also we have some lawyers and some international relations graduates and also some sociologists. So we do have a nice diverse group, and I think that really enriches the conversations that we have as well.
Yeah, it does. It reminds me of a lot of a project we did in Europe, 2014-17, the Drive AB project, where we were working on the language around AMR. And that was one of the great strengths of that project, was the diversity of the people. It was, they let a few of us techie geeks in, but most of the people from other disciplines, and that actually is what made it work. So what have you guys been doing in this program?
So I think you mentioned it's running for 10 weeks. So we've just had a really, really intense 10 weeks of lectures, panels, group discussions, guided independent reading, and small project management with mentorship. So much going on over those 10 weeks. I would say the main part of the project are the lectures and panels. We have around 3 of those a week from experts and professionals working in the field. And again, for me, it was super important to make sure that those lectures and panels were from a real diverse group of people. I wanted to try and touch on as many of the different aspects of AMR as possible. So again, we had behavioral scientists come and speak, anthropologists, sociologists, policy people, a real range. And I think that that was a real educational experience. And yourself, you kindly came and spoke to us about the antimicrobial pipeline, and that was a really fascinating insight as well.
Fabulous diversity. And I think you mentioned working in small groups, people doing projects. Talk to me a little bit more about the kinds of projects people have been doing.
Yeah, of course. So these are quite small scale projects. They were running for 6 of the 10 weeks, and the participants chose which project they wanted to work on. There are 14, and they work in groups of 2 to 4, so quite small groups. And of course, those groups are very diverse in terms of geographical location, but also in terms of background. So again, it's giving kind of that first-hand experience to the participants of working with people who see things differently with different perspectives. And those small projects are mentored as well. So we have experts and professionals who are currently in the field kindly giving some time to guide the participants through that project process. There's such a range. My favorite project is actually based on languages and communicating AMR in languages that aren't English. And that has been so insightful, especially because the participants themselves often don't speak English as their first language. So that's been a particularly interesting project for me.
You know, Wellcome Trust ran a project a couple of years ago now, I think, where they looked at ways of communicating the idea of AMR. There's actually a link to that I put in the footer of every newsletter because I think the words are so important. And but you sounds like maybe you've gone a little deeper than this. Talk to me a little bit about the insights from that group.
Yeah, of course. So I think the Reframing Resistance report is what you're referring to, and
Sure.
that's been such a cornerstone for this as well. I'm always sharing it because I think it has some really interesting findings. So part of the project's task really was to build on that and to take that into their own local communities. You know, what language is it that they speak as their mother tongue, and how can you translate AMR into that language? And I think the key findings have been twofold, really. First of all, it can be so difficult to translate antimicrobial resistance into languages that aren't English. Often there are no direct translations, and that can be really hard because it just hinders the clarity a little bit of what you're trying to say when there are no direct translations. And also the way that antimicrobials are spoken about in different communities, it varies hugely. So antimicrobials, it's understood, but in practice, when people are taking them when they're feeling poorly, they're called something completely different. So that you really have to make a conscious effort to bridge that gap and make sure that what you're saying is going to be understood by your specific target audience. I think the participants have done some wonderful work from Mexico to Nigeria to Uganda on this, and I think the findings that they have will be fascinating.
Well, it's fascinating that you've done that work on languages. I've always thought that the communication aspect of this was one of the least appreciated, but perhaps most important elements of making this go forward, because it's one thing for the techie geeks to talk about it, but everybody else has to be involved, and you got to do it in a way that actually communicates the idea to that person in their language. True local expertise is needed, and you can see how some of these future leaders against AMR might actually be those future experts, right? So the program has come to the end of 10 weeks. What's going to happen next with the people? And you said there were 317 applicants. That means only 40 were in. That means you've got a lot of people who didn't get to play. What's going to happen?
Yeah, so this is a really huge question. I really don't want this project to be, a fire in the pan and everyone talks about it for the 10 weeks and then there's no lasting legacy. So I've been really conscious to make sure that there is some way that there can be continuity with this. So I think the biggest thing that I'm hoping to do is set up a young ambassador network with AMR Insights. And this will really act as a place for the 40 participants, but also all of the other applicants and any other young people who are interested, a place for them to go and to get involved in projects, to collaborate on AMR-focused work. So that's really the big way that I'm hoping we can have continuity. And of course, there are so many brilliant organizations working on youth engagement now. And I think that's really encouraging. And I'd love to just continue supporting their work too.
Fabulous. Okay. And what about you? What are you going to do next?
So I'm actually really happy because last week I heard back from Cambridge that I'd been successful to get a place to study graduate medicine. So it's a 4-year course that will train me to become a practicing doctor, a clinician. So I'm hoping that's next. Got to do some exams first, but I'm hoping that's next.
Fabulous. So you're building on your degree in social sciences, in politics, and international relationships. You're now going to go to medical school.
That's the plan. Yes, I hope so.
Well, I think that's a neat combination because once you get trained as a doctor, you will be able to speak both sides of that language, you know, the technical medical side and the interpersonal policy side. I think that's a very exciting combination of tools to have to put to work. So fabulous. They're good. Cambridge is lucky to have you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's quite a voyage, just going to medical school. So
yeah, of course, because you're a clinician, right?
Yes, strap on your seatbelt. You got a lot to learn. It's going to be, you're going to have a good time. It's an interesting change in your world when you go to medical school. Okay, so, well, you know, it's wonderful to have you here today. And would you like to, any sort of closing thoughts you might have about sort of ideas you've taken away from this, with kind of your most important insight?
I think probably the most important insight that I've taken away from this project is just the power of young people. I think time and time again throughout the program, I've just been blown away by the discussions that the young people were having, the ideas that they were coming up with. I just think it's so encouraging to know that this generation is going to be the next generation of leaders in AMR. And I'm 100% convinced that some of the young people in the program, at least, are going to be real leaders in their field. I think it's also really important that they are from such a range of countries, because it's crucial to have that international collaboration. And like you were talking about earlier, that local expertise, the importance of that cannot be understated. So important. So I'm hoping that this kind of idea is going to infiltrate across the broader AMR community further than it already has, and shape work going forward. That's what I hope.
Couldn't agree with you more about the need to build and replenish the ecosystem of people who make these things happen. It's something that is critical. We got to have a lot of people who want to work in this space, who know why they want to work in this space, and are having an impact. So, well, congratulations. What a fabulous project. Just delighted to meet you and to have met your colleagues when I got to lecture to you recently. Have fun at medical school. And I look forward to seeing you at future antimicrobial jamborees down the road. Somewhere along the way, actually, maybe we're actually going to get to meet in person. So my hat's off. Well done.
Thank you so much. And just a huge thank you again for supporting the program as well. We all appreciated it so much. You came and you spoke and gave us such valuable insights. So just thank you for your role in nurturing that next generation as well. We all appreciate it.
My pleasure entirely. Have a great rest of the day. It's lovely to chat with you.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Well, what a treat to get to visit with Anna Govett today and to hear about the project that she has been leading, the Future Leaders Against AMR. 40 young people spending 10 weeks doing a deep dive into all things AMR and thinking about how they can act against the problem of antimicrobial resistance. Really very impressive. Fascinating to see also that there are people from all around the world. And it's really quite a diverse group of young people, many different disciplines, many different parts of the globe. Fabulous. And thank you for listening as well. Delighted that you're here. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe for more.